attention 10, 15 years ago won't buy much of anything here today.
And why the millennial generation is starting to give up because they can't afford to get a good job or own a house.
8 million Venezuelans voting for this assembly, saying it's actually less than 3.
It is. And people are going to start rioting in the streets.
Was reported to have asked Putin for military support that would help him stay in power.
We will make America safe again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
And they ignore him. And 8 more years goes by till Bernie himself finally admits to his sons, hey, I've been running a Ponzi scheme.
Does its dominance mean it can use the alliance for its own ends?
Since 1981, bond yields, also known as coupon rates, have just gone down and down and down.
The Federal Reserve note will be your biggest financial liability. RTD Live Talk, Thursday night, the 4th day of the month of October. We're live, and I'm interested in finding out your thoughts on what it means to live the American dream. Given the fact that the dream for a lot of Americans, I'm assuming, may not be much of a dream, more of a nightmare or pipe dream or whatever it might be called, depending on how you want to word it. But more importantly, we're going to stream live for a couple minutes and talk about this important subject. Interested in getting your thoughts, on a video I did earlier in reference to the American dream and how studies and the information they put together shows that according to your zip code kind of predicts your outcome a little bit, which doesn't seem too surprising. And so I want to find out your thoughts on that as well, but we'll keep it moving. So as always, RTD Live Talk, the number above me is 1-833-LIVE-RTD. Feel free to give me a call. And let's find out what's on your mind tonight. More importantly, what does it mean to live the American dream for you? So, with that being the case, let's find out what's going on. Give it a couple of seconds for more people to join us. And as always, if we have any new viewers, feel free to let me know where you're watching from. Love to find out what parts of this country or outside the community is tuning in from. So we have Craig on the line so far. So Craig, let me ask you a question. In reference to the video I did earlier, if you had a chance to watch it, as well as that infographic / interactive link to the zip codes for different parts of the country and the income of the public. What are your thoughts on that, man? Is that something that is quite shocking or to be expected, given the fact that there's a small few that have a lot and the majority have not as big a piece of the pie? So, looking to find out what your thoughts are. It says, we got William. Hello, Mike. Greetings from Southern Arizona. Welcome, William. Thanks for tuning in. How's everything out in Arizona? We got Trust Self. Hey, viewer from Arizona. So we got 2 people from Arizona. Appreciate you guys chiming in. And so over there, it's we're about, you guys are what? Was it 2 hours behind? 3 hours behind, I think it is. So you still got a little sunlight out there on your side of this country. And so other than that, give it a sec for more people to chime in. But other than that, I figure it's Thursday night. Not sure. Keep it sweet and simple. But I wanted to find out, what does it mean to live the American dream? And then, of course, share with you my thoughts on that and see from there. So it's 6:37. Okay, so still early. Good cooling down a bit. Mountain time. William. Yeah, man. That's real. So anyway, the American dream, what does that mean? And so based upon the articles I presented earlier, I'll actually pull those up so I can go back over those and reference those. I made good money but still broke because I have to take care of my kids and grandkids. It's killing me. So I take it that's not your dream then, Scott, huh? Yeah, so it's one of those things where, you hear the American dream, and one thing I was always curious about was the fact that growing up, I never really knew anything about an American dream. It wasn't until I got older and became more aware and had to get out in the world and produce for myself that I'm like, man, like, unless you're doing what you love and just feeling a part of something greater than yourself as far as your contribution to humanity, I'm not sure exactly what it means to be living a dream all the time. But I think about how blessed we are as a nation, and when I think beyond myself, my own circumstances, give or take, and realize how privileged we are to be in this country at this day and age, to be aware of the things we're aware of, it is a dream in comparison to all those other people scattered around the world who make way less than we do, living off way less funds than we currently have, and they're able to find peace and happiness with what their circumstances present to them, to the point where what's real sad on most of our part as Americans is that the American dream is more of a dream for foreigners who come here and open up something, start something, and then they send money home to bring back other family members. So that clearly is the epitome of a dream, where you can come over here to the land of free opportunity and start something and do well for yourself and then bring others with you. So yeah, so everybody I'm sure has their own idea of a dream, but I'm curious to find out the viewers, and so I want to find out what how were you sold the American dream, or is it something that you adopted at a young age of wanting what the articles I presented earlier show as, like, the American dream being that people want financial security, they want a house, they want all the basic things that I guess are supposed to make you happy, if that's something I want to use. So I had a call, but I missed it. Forgive me. I should be good to go now. Feel free to call back in and I'll get you on air so you can share your thoughts on the living the American dream. It says, hey, thumbs up, Tony B, thumbs up. It says, my son just got a job offer which he accepted for $78,000. He doesn't start till September 2019. What? He doesn't start till 2019 when he finishes his master's in accounting, so I think it's very much alive. He is 23 years old. Walter, man, that's good. That's good, especially, if he's able to have a promise for a position once he gets out of school. That's great. And hopefully, Walter, he was one of the guys that didn't take on a lot of debt. And he can probably, if he can leave school with very little debt or no debt, that would definitely be a dream. Because, thinking about the idea of getting started in this world after college nowadays in comparison to, perhaps the older generation or your parents, where those that did go to college, they were able to, enter into the workforce with a little bit less debt over their head and actually go through the typical steps that I heard about as far as, you go to school, you get a good job, you graduate, you take on a job, you start, get ready to prepare yourself for a family, mid-20s, you get married, the kids, and that typical pathway nowadays, isn't too prevalent, because a lot of kids graduate from college, go home with their parents, and they prolong all those things. And so we hear stuff about how, people, the younger generation aren't buying houses right away because they have to save up to pay off student loans. So they start getting, into a house or whatnot at 30 and look to get married late 30s. And so, yeah, that's really shifted our entire, way of thinking, our way of life. It says, we got Italian G. It says, I am a CPA and an MBA. Okay, Italian, give us a little light. It says, fine here. That's good, man. That's good. If your personal economy is doing well, that's great. And so if you are living a dream in reference to what, always having done what you want to do and feeling that you have everything, in place structurally, financially, spiritually, physically, hey, man, rock on, dude. Rock on. That is real. It says, keep it real, boss lady. What we got here? Nicodemus. I missed something in the chat. Greetings, everyone. It says, keep it real. So who's not keeping it real is the question. Nicodemus, who's not keeping it real tonight? I paid for the bachelor's. He took out a loan for $35,000 for his master's. Yeah, $35,000. Yeah, so of course I'm not a financial advisor, all that stuff like that, but definitely $35,000 over his head is a lot less than $100,000+ over his head. So, making $78,000. If he's a good financial steward of his, and he's interested in really attacking that, he can get rid of that. If he just buckled down and came home and lived with you for a year or two, Walter, he can take care of that in a year or two. So, the question is, Walter, will you let your son back in so he can knock off that debt and start off completely clean as far as having no debt over his head? That right there would be that'd be real. That would be real if he wants to come home, of course. Says, hey, just came in the chat. So, Kenneth, the question tonight is living the American dream. What does that mean to you? And are you perhaps living the American dream? So far, we had a couple people share their their experiences from family, friends, and themselves. And so it looks like, you know, what I've gathered is, based upon 2 or 3 responses, it seems like on the financial side of things is a big indicator of whether or not they're living their dream or not. And so whether you have, you know, whether you're a high income earner or a business owner or whatever it might be, clearly finances is all tied into that dream aspect. And so, you know, that right there will then lead me to inquire even further at the time that perhaps, just say for example, the dream is altered or derailed due to things outside of your control, such as, you know, everyone, for Rethinking the Dollar, the whole show is based upon the idea that one day our national currency might present to be a problem, even though it's a problem. It has been a problem for the last 100 years, given the fact that we're talking about people, you know, losing hope in the American dream due to our monetary system, and the fact that, you know, we look at the purchasing power of a Federal Reserve note to where now it requires a lot more pieces of paper to acquire a simple good or service that perhaps our grandparents could have achieved or could have gotten at a much cheaper rate. And so that right there eats into people's dreams. And then something I really wanted to touch on, and I'm gonna actually pull up that Atlantis visual aid from earlier, because one of the things that really stood out to me, and I hinted at this, I think it was last night, about where are we at? It was about the idea that more people now seem to be, I'm not sure the percentage of the population, but a lot of people nowadays, how would I put it? No skilled workers or low skilled workers are in dire straits for acquiring a living wage. So now we're talking about, you know, people deserve a living wage. So I would have never imagined, you know, I would assume that our grandparents and older generation would have never imagined the time where people will be in the streets demanding a living wage and equating a living wage to $15 an hour to give you roughly $30-something thousand a year. And also, you know, so I'm going to show this visual aid here, but depending upon where you're located at, that $30,000 won't really go far for you, especially if you have a lot of debt on your head and, you know, family, yada, yada, yada. So most of the time, if you're around that range, it typically takes more than just one income for the house. And so I believe that that is where a good portion of the population might actually be, given, you know, this little visual aid that I'm going to pull up here. So for people who didn't get a chance to check it out, it is right, let me see here. Okay. Give me a second. Got 2 pages open. So let me close this one. There we go. All right, here we go. So, excuse me. Little sinus situation here. So anyway, so this is a little the Atlas in action, which talks about the income based upon zip code, and the whole idea that depending on what region you grow up in, more than likely the odds are against you. So basically saying if you grew up on the wrong side of the train tracks, perhaps you know, more than likely might be a statistic as far as not being able to make it up out, of which is not, you know, that's not in all cases, because a lot of people, you know, are you know, the people who think outside the box, people who have been aware and taken advantage of their opportunities, they are able to recognize and be able to get up and get out. And unfortunately, this generation we're in now, getting up out of a impoverished environment or mentality, kids are being sold that you need higher education to do that. And so that plays into the whole idea of kids being told that in order to reach your dreams, you have to have a piece of paper saying you're certified in some field of study. When in actuality, I don't really truly believe in that 100%. So a lot of kids, I believe, are going to school just because they have to go. I mean, it's common practice now that graduating from high school now is the equivalent of going to, like, graduate from middle school. Like, everyone, you have to do it. If you don't graduate from high school, then you really don't have a chance to do much. So, but anyway, here's this visual aid here. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, it's in the video I did earlier. But yet, if you just thumb throughout some of the places around the country, you get an idea of what areas seem to be the most impacted by poverty for the most part. And of course, it's these areas down here in the South where it also happens to be cheaper cost of living. And so I'm thinking, like, $25,000 is the median or the household income in this region here. Then, like, it's not much, apart from whatever your circumstances may be, like $25,000, $27,000, is it possible, which I'm sure it is, to live out your dreams with that type of income in this current day and age, given the costs and whatnot? So I would love to hear your thoughts on that, statement there. It says pick up the phone. I'm sorry. Missed a couple calls. I'm glad got it to one of my rants and forgot about the phones. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Craig out of Beaumont.
Craig out of Beaumont. How you doing, my friend?
Doing pretty good. The question you was asking me about my idea of the American dream.
Yeah.
It's pretty much being able to move around the country financially, without any financial restrictions.
Yeah.
And to me, I guess that's about it.
Yeah. So
the cool thing about it is my field, what I do, because I'm considered construction.
Yeah.
I'm doing the higher end, which is automation.
Yeah.
And which is in high demand right now, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Yeah.
And in some cases, you can write your own tickets.
Yeah.
You can have minimum bounties about $6,000 a month, and then you can have a higher end bounty, which turns out to be pretty close to $4,000 a week. It just depends on the contract you get.
Yeah.
And what part of the country it's in. But as far as like the zip codes,
yeah,
and where you live, that to me, in my industry, that really depends on, are you willing to travel or do you want to stay at home?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because some people think that the American dream is to have that house with the white picket fence and 2 vehicles and a family and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then you got people that's like me who really like to be like nomads or vagabonds. We want to, do the RV life. We want to be this one place for a couple of months, and then the next few months we'll be somewhere else.
Yeah.
And they're both bountiful. So one thing that I do not like about the zip code thing, which you mentioned, and that's the thing that's really popping up, is that it doesn't always stay fruitful in that area. That sometimes the local economy dries up.
Yeah.
And when that happens, that's when that red comes into play, because people tend to get behind in finances, and they try to stay down and hold down the front versus being able to move around. And then it really makes you look at the issue, whether is your house truly an asset or is it a cost?
Right.
Because a lot of people don't realize that American dream, it can also be an American burden.
Yeah, it comes at a cost. The dream comes at a cost nowadays, and I think a lot of people are probably questioning is the cost worth it? Because especially if you get caught up in living like the Joneses, or living with the Joneses, or whoever those people were or are, where you're living well beyond your means. If that's your dream and it requires you to go above and beyond, and you're saturated in debt, I'm not sure what type of dream that is. But a lot of people, a lot of Americans are fronting. A lot of people living like they live in large, but they one check away from losing everything. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, one thing on to close this up, one thing that's food for thought for people is that having a permanent home is not necessarily a good thing. Like in my industry, for instance, there was a man. He was a neighbor when I did have a home in the other side of town. He waited for his child to graduate, and the minute his child graduated, he said, "Okay, son, here you go, keys to the house. I'm gone." It's basically dad was waiting to raise his child and get him set and on his way in college, so he could be freed up.
Yeah.
which that's where I fall in, because I'm in the category, and I've done that already. I've got my son up to where he's on my level almost.
Mm-hmm.
He'll be intern at my level.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is that once your children raising is done, you're really not bound to one place. You can actually move around. You're freed up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. So yeah, factored in being as I said, an empty nester when your younger years are geared towards your family. So I'm in the same situation now, younger kids, whatever. So are already thinking about life after and things like that. So, but I try not to get so far ahead of myself that I miss out on what could be the enjoyable moments now, which of course is easier said than done. But yeah, so I feel you and I feel your partner. So, but
yeah,
no,
I mean, so but the answer that that's the part on the zip code is that some people are just locked in, and then it really depends on how the cards fall for them.
Yeah.
Now you'll always have that little small group
mm-hmm.
that'll always stay above the top, but then you got everybody else. It's like that classic gang, fighting for dollars. You put people in a box, and you got 30 seconds to catch all the dollars you can catch. That's it.
Yeah, and the thought process with that is, in that little box, you see all that paper flying up, but when adrenaline kicks in, the wind is blowing, you probably gonna end up grabbing very little. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna miss out on so much that so you're going so fast. But hey, man, I appreciate you calling in.
All right, no problem, bro.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Have a good night, man.
All right, you too.
All right, bye. Yeah, man, that's real. That is real. Yeah, and that's another thing. Factoring in those that are parents. When your kids, are of age. The biggest thing as a parent, you want your children to be better off than you are, and that's one thing I wanted to mention is, as a parent, and I assume we got some parents out here, you can understand that sense of especially with me covering all this news every day. It's never really good news directly, so I'm thinking it really helps me to appreciate my childhood years and where we are currently today, because in comparison to what I believe our children's future or my children's future might be, I think we have it very good. And in reference to where I think this is all heading, I can say that this is a dream right now, to be able to speak to people online and just go back and forth in the land of the free. It's a privilege and an honor. So this is just one aspect of living a dream. So hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
How's it going, Mike? It's Russell from Missouri.
Russell from Missouri. I'm doing. Would you mind? Is your volume on your phone all the way up?
I'm sorry. What was that?
Is your volume on your phone all the way up? Because I have it all the way up on my end. I want to make sure the audience can hear you.
Let me make sure here.
I appreciate it.
Second here.
Yep.
Okay. Volume.
What I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna switch speakers so that hopefully people can hear you better. Hello? Hello, are you there?
Okay, is that better? Is that better for you?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. Just wanted to say I listened to your zip code broadcast earlier today.
Okay.
And I had a couple comments on that.
Yep, go ahead.
One thing is, I personally believe, and I might be in a different situation than other people, but I personally believe that if somebody's willing to work hard and work smart
mm-hmm.
and live smart, sometimes it might take a while to get their house in order or whatever, take a little bit of sacrifice and whatever, but I think it is available for anybody to have the dream of America, what America brings you.
Yeah.
We do have the freedoms here that nobody's ever had in the world before. Mm-hmm. Even though with the politics and all the crap that's going on now, we still do have the freedoms that the world has never seen before.
Right.
And we do have the opportunity, if we live smart, if we utilize our income wisely, so mm-hmm. we live off of, we bring home $1, but only spend, with all of our debt and all of our everything, we only spend 75 cents. and we're able to save that extra or spend only 90 cents of that dollar, whatever it is, we can build that dream. And it doesn't matter. I mean, the younger you do that, the younger you get your financial house in order, get out of debt, the more opportunities you'll have, the more you'll find, but I don't think that, and it doesn't matter where you live, I don't believe either. Because if you're willing to work, there's work out there for you. Yeah. If you're willing to work. You might not, you might want to work in an office, but no, you got to work outside or whatever it is. But if you're willing to work, there is work out there for you. I mean, the job I have, I'm a truck driver, so I'm gone all the time from my home. But right now, the truck driving industry needs drivers, big time.
Yeah. Even around the whole scare of automation and driverless trucks and stuff like that. Is that real? Is that a real concern?
The reality of it is okay. I'm 58 years old, so probably by the time I retire, that hasn't come into full fruition. The problem with that is not all states are going to be able to put down that infrastructure. So they're going to have to wait for the federal to come in and put that infrastructure down. That's going to allow for that total automation.
Yeah.
So it's because we're talking about physical infrastructure that has to go down in the ground.
Yeah.
For that all to come to fruition in a safe manner, I think. I mean, I don't know. I'm not technologically blessed. I don't have that skill set, so I might be totally wrong in my assessment there. But I'm just thinking that even with that going on, if somebody's willing to work, and if they're willing to, okay, I know one of the big problems that you spoke about in that was all the different types of debt that are out there, and one of the major ones is student debt.
Yeah.
But you know what? There's nothing wrong with, before you go to school, as a senior, your job is to put in for grants. You have to put in three grants a week.
Yeah.
And where you can cash flow going through school. Unless you get a scholarship, don't go to those Ivy League schools.
Yeah.
Go to a state school where it's a lot cheaper. So there's ways to get the education that you need.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what school you go to. If you go to Purdue or you go to UC Irvine, guess what? They're both going to be the same cost, but guess what? UC Irvine is going to be so much cheaper because it's a state school.
Yeah.
So there's different ways around getting those, getting your education and going into $50,000 worth of debt, or getting your education and coming out with no debt.
Yeah. Good point.
So there's methods also if you are finding yourself in debt, and I've been doing this for the last year and a half. I'm almost out. I was at $55,000 in debt, and now I'm at 12.
Yeah.
So I will be out of debt completely within a year, and then I have 7 years to start packing it away. It might take a little bit longer to get down to what I need.
Yeah.
Because it will be time for me to retire, but I can retire with a decent amount of money available. I have a fourplex that I own as well, so that's another part of my retirement plan.
Yeah.
But and I think that's available for everybody, anybody who's willing to work out a plan, set up a plan. I'm helping my son do this right now. Set up a plan and live within your means, and learn to live on every dollar that you get. If you have to spend 95 to live, then you spend 95, but you're keeping that extra 5 cents for every dollar that you get and putting that aside, and you can build that dream for yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
good point. Yeah, I agree 100%. So I thank you for sharing that wisdom, man. That's definitely something that's important. So thank you for calling in, my buddy. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's real talk. And so a lot of nuggets within our little talk there. But, you know, if there's more than enough work out here, and if you're willing to work hard, you can make something happen. But yet, something came to mind from my conversation with Leor yesterday in reference to the idea that, you know, ideas, you know, like, and I'm thinking about this all the time. There's an abundance of ideas that are readily available to anyone who's able and willing to just open their eyes up and see and try to solve problems. And so, you know, if you look for problems, look for problems and become a solution to a problem. It could be the dumbest problem imaginable, such as you don't want to cut your own grass. Somebody will pay you to cut their grass, and that's not really a problem this big time, but you get my drift. Solve problems. That's why I love solving problems. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, this is Steve. How's it going, man? Calling from Plymouth, Michigan.
Steve from Plymouth, Michigan. We got a Michigander in the house. How you doing tonight, my friend? What's on your mind? What are your thoughts about this American dream?
Oh, man. Have you, my thoughts are on the bond market. If you've been paying attention to what's been going on these last couple of weeks, it's absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
It is absolutely devastating. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, just last night we were at 3.193 on the 10-year yield.
Yeah.
And within 8 hours today, we were up at 3.208. And just to watch them steadily pumping money into the bonds, trying to monetize this debt.
Yeah.
It is, the train is coming quickly, my friend.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, you know, a lot of people don't really, you know, I personally haven't been following the bond activity specifically the way you just addressed it, just because, you know, knowing the end game, you know, the bond situation is just reflecting the currency. So rethinking the dollar lets me know that there's going to be a debt issue, which there is currently, which is going to show up in the bond area, which is going to reflect in the currency. So I just, you know, I stick to the final issue, which will be the currency. So I don't follow the bond market much, just because I know that it's a bunch of hogwash anyway, and the whole inversion stuff. I mean, so yeah, it can, if you focus on that, it can definitely add a couple grades to your head or whatever. So yeah.
Oh, well, the smart money's already left the market.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, the writing has been on the wall since February, where we hit what we thought was an all-time high. It's funny because these people, they get so sucked into buying at the top, and what people don't understand is what is coming is not going to be in the realm of 2008. I mean, when this credit freezes and it actually, everything comes to a screeching halt, and you have a run on the banks. The only option they're going to have is to go to QE infinity.
Yeah.
Once they go to QE infinity, they're going to print us into hyperinflation, and they're literally that's people cannot even wrap their heads around how this is actually going to play out. And people like myself, I'm sitting here watching this because I'm not going to short this market until it absolutely dumps. Every time they pump money into the bond market, what happens is the stocks go higher. They pump money into the stocks. That's consistently how he's ridden the stock market all the way up.
Yeah.
And once it starts to dump, we're going to ride it all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And you know, it's at the end of the day, like I said at the very beginning of this video here, your national currency will be your biggest financial liability in the end. So everything that you mentioned now shows up on the very end when it comes to what we've been taught to save, work for, and live for. It will be reflected in that in a very bad way. So this plays into the whole American dream I'm talking about, in the idea that I feel very blessed and privileged to be aware of a few things that allows me to appreciate these good times, to be able to take the little bit of crumbs I do have and to use it in a way where I think it might be a little bit beneficial for me as all this stuff unfolds. So it's a dream come true to be aware and to have a little bit of wisdom and might not be common sense, but have a little sense into realizing that everything has been presented to us.
It's very hard to get people to listen to you. I mean, especially as you try to talk to the older generations and a lot of people that have never been through. I mean, because honestly, the last time this country has seen the crisis was Brentwood in '71. We had the gas shortages where we came off the gold standard.
Yeah.
I mean, since then, a lot of people that are, Generation X or, I'm only 37 years old myself. myself. So I was born in 1981.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never been through anything like this. But people that, so it forms a sense of complacency that a lot of people have, grown accustomed to, that this will never crash. And they live in this world of optimism as a bubble that, it's astounding because, people are going to get devastated by this stuff.
Yeah, I agree 100%, my friend. I agree 100%. And the biggest thing is, like you said, no one or not many people are really interested in it. And it's one of the things where, as this idea of American dream becomes a issue for a lot of people, then they'll be more receptive to find out why they have the problems that they may have. And so that's when there'll be people who have been in tune, who are aware, they can share information and just tell your story, how you awoke to the truth. And hopefully people, respond that way. But it's no telling. Most people tend to learn the hard way anyway. So just pray for them and keep on moving. That's usually how it goes.
Very true. Very true. Well, I love the show, brother, and keep it going.
Appreciate
I just
you.
wanted to call in and give my thoughts.
Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Thanks. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
All right. Bye. Yeah, man. Yeah, and the bond market, I don't follow it day to day at all. So other than just hearing stories fly by here and there, it's one of the things where it's just one of many issues that will result in the erosion and basically the complete, as he mentioned, hyperinflation of our currency as a possible solution to how all this ends. So it's like, paying attention to step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When I know at the end, I know the end game. So I focus on the end game. And the end game has to do with the national currency. So utilize your national currencies to the best of your ability to preserve your capital, energy, and everything else now and in the future. That's what it boils down to. So I've seen a lot of people mention about get your weight up, getting your weight up. That's a hedge. And so also, did you guys have a chance to check out, I posted a short clip on my Twitter account, or not Twitter, but on my Facebook, of as well as the Rethinking the Dollar LinkedIn, of the 6 steps that Leor Gantz put out there that was very informative. And definitely all 6 of them aren't completely possible for everybody, because we can't get second passports and get duffel bags full of 5 or 6 different currencies. But if you could, more power to you. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is actually Conservative Mexican. I am from California.
Conservative Mexican from California. How you doing, my friend? What's on your mind tonight? Are you living the American dream?
I am living the American dream, despite the fact that I am in California. And I've seen a couple of your videos. See how you talk a lot about money. I really like that. I think most people that aren't living the American dream, if they believe that they're not, is because they're purely focusing on liabilities and not assets. And that was one thing as a Hispanic that I wasn't taught, is that you have to buy into assets and not liabilities. And most of us are just riddled in debt because of credit cards and housing.
Yeah.
And that's why we feel like we're not living it, because we're basically either house broke or just in debt, buying things that we can't afford. And if you're compiling a bunch of debt, you can't really invest and get to where you feel like you're going to be living that dream.
Right. Very true. And then so all of that right there is tied into the idea that the educational system was never truly designed to allow people to think critically or think outside of the employee mind state in the first place. So there's no way we would have learned anything about finances, money, investing, or anything of that nature. And what really bothers me, if I can share with you, is the fact that how important money is to our everyday lives. How come we were not taught in school anything about how to invest, how to take care of your money, given that that's what everything is geared towards? Like, how can you go through 12 years of school and not get any basics of money, and then go to college and more likely may not touch anything about money either, and then get out, you got to hire a CPA, you got to hire a tax attorney, you got to hire all this stuff like that, when you should have learned a little bit of that in school during those years you were sitting in class for 8 hours, learning about artificial history and fake, all that stuff. So, but that's how it's designed. So anyway, yeah, man.
I think if you took an economics class, you got enough of a basic knowledge on how
if you took one
works.
Yeah, if you took one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I took economics as a senior, and I was able to pretty much grasp, let's say, for example, if you raise the minimum wage, it pretty much doesn't help. and especially the more you involve government into society, it definitely doesn't help because you're slowly pilfering. I mean, look at Detroit. You're basically giving more power to the government than the people, and then next thing you know, people don't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that's the problem is the education system. Like in California, they spend about $10,000 a student for education, yet they still have some of the worst test scores. Where in other states they're spending half of that, and even yet still poor kids are getting a better education. So I think it's just the government just has their hand way too much in the cookie jar. You just can just snatch it away and just basically give everybody their cookies back.
Yeah, that's very true, man. That's very true. So what part of California are you in?
I'm in Orange County, Southern California.
Okay. Now, so we have several callers call in from that region or that area. And it's mentioned about the homelessness factor, just I guess how the extreme cost of living there and things of that nature. Are you experiencing that or see a lot of that in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, I actually live in Santa Ana, and it's actually one of the main cities that actually all the homeless go to. They actually come from LA, so that is something that people have experienced. I mean, you're looking at like $2,000 a month for an apartment, 1-2 bedrooms, and in my opinion, that's more of an immigration thing because we're just very populated. And once again, that goes down to politics, to where most politicians aren't willing to do anything about it because more immigration means more government involvement. It means they don't really have to do anything other than advocate for the people. But yeah, homeless it's gone ridiculously. It's expanded, and I think Jerry Brown just signed a bill giving $1 billion for affordable housing. So once again, that's something to where the government creates a problem and then they create the solution, and then we're the ones paying for the bill.
Yeah, that's how it goes. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm beyond convinced that no good solution comes from our elected officials, given the fact that they're the ones that created it. So how can you rely upon the creator and the solution from the same source? Like I think Albert Einstein says, you can't solve the problem with the same level of thinking that created the problem. But most people don't really think to care, or most people are living their own dream or whatever version that is, to where they don't think outside of it or really concern themselves with what's taking away their freedoms and rights. So I can't really be mad at people for continuing on this foolishness of electing people who make promises that they won't be in office to even deliver on. So, but I'll let that go. So, but man, I appreciate your call in. Thank you for letting us know what's happening out in your neck of the woods.
No, thank you for doing what you do. I think there's not enough people that actually take the time to show other people that, hey, you have a lot of influence on where you end up being. Most people are just, I'm going to end up being where people place me. No, you have a lot of input of where you end up in life.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I agree
appreciate
100%.
Your channel.
All right, my friend, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Appreciate you.
Have a good night.
All right, you too.
All right, bye.
Yeah, man. Good stuff as always. Good stuff. So I want some more calls. What's on your mind, people? I see a lot of stuff in the chat, a lot of back and forth. Looks like some like a RTD chat squabble going on in there. A lot of a lot of back and forth amongst the same people. So you guys are so engaged in the chat. Hey, neither one of you guys called in and shared your story, shared your side of the American dream. So feel free to do so. We'll be online for a couple more minutes. So what else? Also, what else we go? It says Bitcoin, Litecoin, and silver will get you the hyperinflation. Yeah, man. This last, was it 2 nights ago during live stream, I mentioned about one of the things that really was just on my mind is what could or what might happen within the next 60 days, given October, November, leading to December, from a political front, financial, on the financial side of things. It's just, so many things seems to be just happening at the same time nowadays, man. It's just anything can happen at any moment. And for some reason, like every other year, because usually every year around the fall, I anticipate something. But this year, I'm really like, man, something has to give. At some point, it will give. I don't know how, what, when, where, but I do know the end result of how it all play out, though. That's for sure. And we can all bet on that. And it has to do with the idea that all fiat currencies return to their intrinsic value of 0, which is scary, but it is what it is. So we got some thoughts here. It says, American dream, the ideal that every U.S. citizen should have an equal opportunity to achieve success and prosperity through hard work, determination, and initiative. Well said. Because, let me see, it says the economic anarchy of the capitalist society as it exists today is the real source of the evil. I am convinced there is only one way, the establishment of a socialist economy. Albert Einstein. Interesting. Albert Einstein, for him to be such a genius to propose a socialist economy, every nation that tends to go the socialist route are having issues, and so it has never ended well. And so, yeah, that's interesting. If that's a true quote from Albert Einstein, I never came across that one. But once again, like my opinion, and for those that have been tuned in for a while, you know how I'm capable of sharing my spiritual beliefs, and I believe ultimately. It says, Mike, that quote is from Einstein's Why Socialism. Okay, good deal. I wasn't aware of that. And if I would have started reading that and saw socialism, I wouldn't have probably read it all the way through or whatever it was attached to. So, yeah. But anyway, so I might as well share with you my opinion, my thoughts on that subject matter of government. And so I realize that how dangerous it could be, not being. Because it could be considered being anti-patriotic or anti-government or whatever it might be called. But I just think that it's hard to follow a system or a leader of a system that A, I don't believe in, B, is not really a good leader worth following, type of thing with our current political structure. So with that being the case, I don't think that mankind's solutions to the problems we created for ourselves will come from this realm of thought, which means I believe that, through the spirit realm, and more importantly for me, what I find comfort in knowing is the idea of, from a biblical standpoint, how Jesus Christ himself positioned himself as the king and as a king, and his kingdom is present at this current moment in the spiritual realm, if you believe that, through the Holy Spirit. So I personally find comfort in knowing that the only solution to mankind's problem is the source of existence, which for me is God himself, and what he promised us as his children, which is to inherit a kingdom that will be brought here to this earth down the line after everything takes place. So that for me helps me to see through all the fog of, all these problems and solutions that government are giving to us, because at the end of the day, democracy, republic, capitalism, socialism, all them isms, they will fail because man's inherent nature of evil, absolute power corrupts. And so any person who gets a little taste of power eventually abuses it. And with abusing power, you tend to take advantage of people. And then to retain that power, you have to put your foot on people's necks to make sure you stay above everybody. That's not leadership. And so the only true leader is Jesus Christ himself. And so for me personally, through him, I'm encouraged at the idea that his word says the kingdom of God is not visibly present, but it is currently in me through the form of his spirit. So, but I'm going to get off that one because I can go on forever. Anyway, we got another caller. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Mike? Tony from Oakland.
Tony, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. You?
I'm doing excellent, man. Waiting on my tea. That's all. I'm waiting on to collect my tea.
Man, I hope your throat don't get dry before then.
I'm gonna bring it up every time. How you doing, man? What's your thoughts on the American dream?
There is no American dream, man. Mm-hmm. It's all been it's a nightmare for the people that are actually living it. Mm-hmm. There's just the elite against the rest of the world.
Yeah, and that's how.
And that's.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's how it is, and that's how it's been set up. It just didn't happen in the year 2000. It's been going on for centuries. You've got to go back to the colonial days, way back to the Roman days. I mean, you got to go back, and that's the way the system has been set up, and they have kept the system strong, and they aren't going to let anyone infiltrate it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like that's a way of it all playing out. We're given the illusion of hope and change through all this stuff happening right now and what could be a political shakeup, or I'm seeing everything says red October. So a lot of people have hope that what's currently underway now could bring about change, but people usually not aware of what they're voting for until it's already in play, and it tends to not be in the people's favor as of now based upon history. So yeah, I agree with you, my friend. You never know.
Right, and they use words as like socialism and things like that in order to keep the people divided. But we as a people, and I don't care what color you are, but we as a people need to come together to let them know that we know what their game is, and we own to it, and you just gotta. We ain't going for it anymore. But I don't think that'll happen because there's so many people that are left against right. Socialism gets populism. I mean, there's no way of catching up.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this current two-party system, predominant two-party system, is so divisive that I don't think it could ever. I'm not sure what could cause the people to unite as one. Like, because it's going to be. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know where to begin on what could unite us all against. The forces that have suppressed us for so long. Like, anything come to mind that could get us all to rally together and then not be like, he has, I don't have, I'm going to get what he have, I'm jealous, his dream is bigger than my dream. And there's always going to be something. It's going to be carnally, naturally, fleshly based that's going to cause hate amongst brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
You started off by saying a two-party system.
Yeah.
Who said it was a two-party system? I know there was some independents running.
Yeah.
But they make the independents look so bad and so small that they only give you two people to vote for.
Right.
So and that's where people go wrong. They think you only have a choice. You have a choice. You can actually tune out and turn off.
Yeah. So that's the third party.
And people don't want to do that.
Yeah. Very true.
And stations like yours, giving out truth and letting people express their mind, I appreciate. And I just want to thank you for that, man, because they shutting you down. They're shutting people like you down.
Yeah. I realize that, this right here is all just a chance for me to express myself and help other people get a voice. But yet, if I do a good job, it will come to the end one day because they're going to have to silence it. So I ain't got to that point yet. So obviously I'm not doing a good enough job. So one day.
Keep your head up, man.
I will.
Your head up. I ain't going to hold you too much longer, man.
I appreciate you, Toe. Good luck, my friend. Thanks for calling in.
No worries, man. Have a good one yourself.
Yeah, be good.
Bye.
Yeah, man, all good things come to an end. So yeah, but so far, like I mentioned earlier, having a chance to speak and have people call in, it is somewhat of a dream to be able to share and to hang out amongst people that's like-minded. That's that's a blessing. So I appreciate you guys for spending a couple minutes with your boy this evening on a Thursday night at that. I'm sure there's other things you could be doing, but you're here in the community going back and forth with a player. So I appreciate it. With a player. Anyway, what else is going on here, people? This chat is moving pretty fast, as if there's a lot of activity over here. Let me see. Can play off their debt. So yeah, it looks like conversation is a lot about debt. Yeah, we are soft. We are soft as a people. You guys should be forced to start your live again. See how good or easy you can do it. Freedom is the dream. Are you free? Good point. Yeah, so people hinted at early, people hinted at early on in the chat, for those that might be tuning in a little bit late, that the American dream, it looked like it had a number to it for a lot of people, saying that, that they had either a good career or they were debt-free or something of that nature, which gave them the feeling that they're living, a dream or their dream or whatever it is they desired, which is great. It was beautiful. And so on the flip side of that, given that, money is the answer to, all things, according to the Bible. So with that being the case, that, one day our currency is going to be the issue for all our problems, down the line. So given that dream now to what could come down the line, and for those that say, oh, it might never happen here, just take yourself out of your shoes, put yourself in one of these other countries that's currently experiencing currency situations now, and just try to get a feel for what it might feel like to have your bank account devalued 15-20% and you not really be able to do much about it because they may not let you get your cash out type of thing. And so, I was, I'm talking to a friend of mine down in Argentina. Had actually a long conversation with him about a week or 2 weeks ago, give or take, and he was telling me just how things are unfolding there, and they're used to it more so. He's a younger guy, and he was saying that in order to encourage depositors to keep their money in the bank, they're given 30% interest rates. And so, he told me that his money, he keeps his money in the bank, and I'm thinking like, but he's obviously his parents know, his mom and dad, they're pretty well off. They got well diversified, but anyway. So he was saying how they give 30% interest, and I'm thinking like, okay, so I'm thinking your currency has been devalued over 50% over the last year. They're giving you 30% interest. I'm like, you're still losing out. So I'm like, that's not adding up. So I, gave him a little spiel on, some alternatives and whatnot, share some information with him that hopefully he takes advantage of. But anyway, so it's just the idea that, that's a primary example of a person who, hardworking guy, good friend of mine. He's a lawyer. He's of the higher echelon of his clan down there. And I'm thinking like, he's not monetarily attuned in a sense where he's, I'm concerned and care about him and his family, that I'm like, his dream, is already being tested right now. And so, yeah, anyway, getting on, I'm always rambling, boy. Your boy loves to ramble. What else we got? It says, federal bankers invading tribes living in the jungle in my best rapsy voice. I want to take out some debt. Yeah. Funny is, everyone should be a libertarian, and that will bring us all together. John, that is a good point, man. A libertarian. And so for people to really understand and to grasp the idea of what a libertarian is, a lot of people need to be, basically need to be informed as to what a libertarian stands for, because if you tell it to the wrong person, they'll look at it as like being a, it hasn't been provided as a viable solution for people, because it puts them out on their own. It's going to force people to have to stand on their own and use their own creativity, use their own willpower and everything for themselves, and not depend upon government. And we've all been conditioned for the most part to rely upon government for something, because we pay taxes, because we contribute to Social Security. So all those things, the government's positioned themselves very strongly in our lives to where the idea of removing yourself from them or minimizing their role in your lives could probably be uncomfortable for a lot of people, especially given the fact that maybe a third of the population, 70, 80,000 people, are dependent upon aid from the government. So you basically said, stop all of my assistance. I want to be free of you completely. A lot of people aren't ready for that, just because they haven't been taught to live and to provide for themselves in that manner. But John, I do feel you though. It says, Mike, is the Federal Reserve constitutional? Section 10C seems to imply Congress doesn't have the power to mint coin or create the Fed. The Federal Reserve constitutional. The Federal Reserve is not constitutional because, according to the Constitution, we all know what money is, and it was a power given to the government, ideally through the Treasury, to coin our money. No states had the right to coin money or whatever, just solely the government. Am I saying that correctly? Yeah, it's been a minute since I'll check that out. But anyway, point in case is the Federal Reserve is after the fact. It's our third central bank. It's nothing. It's a private institution. All that stuff is nothing to do with our government, but other than the fact that our government sold out the public by allocating and trusting our monetary supply, our national currency, to strangers, or AKA banksters. So we'll see how that's turning out. So far, they've gotten bigger. The dollar's going down in value. And what's interesting is, I'm gonna pull this up. And what really ticks me off out of probably everything is the whole motto of what Rethinking the Dollar is based upon. And that's this visual aid right here that I always go back to. I'm gonna pull this up, because if we could get people to understand or to care about this right here, if we could get people to actually look at this and just wonder, like, where is this thing gonna go? Like this can never go up again. It is not mathematically possible for this to go up, which means a dollar Federal Reserve note can never appreciate in value because the monetary system isn't designed for that. Hence the 2% inflation mandate. So 2% every year has to come off of this thing to where it's a compounding inflation type of effect. And so people talk about, you know, aiming for compounding interest. Compounding interest, as I mentioned in several videos ago, technically died after the Great Recession when interest rates dropped to zero. You couldn't put money in the bank. You had to keep your money in the bank and swipe a card for cash back to make it appear as if you're earning some type of money on top of your savings. So if people could understand a little bit of monetary history and to see all the events that has taken place that has played into this piece of paper that we all base our lives upon, the American dream has been tied into this. This is where the American dream, this is how the American dream ends completely, when this thing truly goes sub-zero. And as I mentioned before, oh, yeah, got a little jokester there. But no, so the American dream will officially come to a halt for whatever the dream might be. So whether you're one of the people early on that said everything's great, everything's peachy and cream, it's peachy and cream as long as this thing here is presented as being above zero. But I'm more than confident, and I've stated before how this is referred to as a dollar. And so as of now, the reason I believe this is already sub-zero in reference to what you can acquire for $1 is because you can't buy anything for 5 cents, technically, type of thing. Whereas in a single unit called $1 in 1913 was a day's wage, where you can get a whole grocery basket of stuff, probably pay a bill, give or take, in 1913. But now that same unit we call a single dollar, you can't do much with. So you automatically need some change, i.e. tax on top of that, which lets me know that we are already below zero according to this dollar measurement thing here. So technically, to actually get some value substance out of this, you need to put purchasing power of the U.S. $100 bill, and you put a $100 bill over here. $100 back in 1913 was, hell, a year's pay or something of that nature, half a year's pay for people. What can $100 do for you today would be more likely. And then you'll see that from a month's wage or whatever it might have been in 1913 till today, $100 is a pair of shoes. And back then, a pair of shoes was $2, $3. So you see where this is going. But getting people to understand this graph, to ask people like, hey, you know, what happens when this thing goes zero? How will that impact your future? Type, you know, just little questions like that, you know, if people care. But some people don't really care. What else we got going on? It says, if we got rid of them twice before, why are they back? The banking sector, man. The banking sector, the too big to fail banks, J.P. Morgan and his gang. And they were then, and if you want to really find out how it all went down, just research or Google the words "the money trust." The money trust. So every 100 years or give or take, there's a group of the wealthiest individuals. We call them the deep state, the elite, or whatever we call them now. In 1913-ish time frame, they were called the money trust. So actually, I've actually gone and read archived newspapers talking about the money trust. And so back then, journalism was real, where there were independent papers. There was hundreds of independent papers that actually talked negatively about banks and government. You could actually speak your mind and it not be censored then. And so it's a lot of great articles on the money trust and who makes it up. And they're all the steel moguls, the banking moguls, all those 7, 8, 9 individuals that are still the 6 or 7, 8, 9 owners technically of the too big to fail banks, traced back to them, as well as the too big to fail banks being the shareholders of the Federal Reserve Bank. All that's tied in. And so do some homework, do some research on that. You'll find out how all this originated. But it was the idea that money rules the world. And of course, any politician every politician has a price tag. Technically, Woodrow Wilson got tagged. He was a college professor, no political experience whatsoever. All of a sudden, became president. And when he became president, in my opinion, to scratch the back of the people who helped him get into office. Hence, Woodrow Wilson, when he got out of office, he said it was one of the worst things he ever did was to give the Federal Reserve life. Here we are now. So, yeah. So that whole scenario plays into another administration just not too recent ago, where a person with no real true political experience, community organizer, becomes president. You know, not a bad gig. Had to scratch a lot of backs to get there though, but I'm gonna leave it there. It says, how did the weasel their way back? It was a mic, but if the Fed is unconstitutional, doesn't that make the whole government illegitimate? If you probably want to go down technical to it, you probably can make a case. But once again, it's me, you, us arguing against the beast, the monster. We wouldn't win, so I don't really see it being an argument that we can actually make or be able to sustain, just because it is what it is now. Like the fact that you're aware of how it is, you know, you have the right to opt out in regards to certain areas in regards to that system. And so that's the freedom that we do have at this current moment. That's a part of the being awake in this dream, is the fact you can choose. You have options. It says you need to read Anthony Sutton's book on the Fed and how these snakes created the Fed and how Wall Street funded the Bolshevik Revolution, etc. Yeah, T. Hambone. Good recommendation. Washington, D.C., the City of London, Vatican are their own entities. Since the Act of 1871, our Constitution has been suspended, and we are under Admiralty law. Yep, T, I've come across that as well. And the fact that, the government is a business corporation entity, and, details like that, which are good information to know, but at the end of the day, I think I ain't gonna say having too much knowledge can be dangerous, because it can be, but it can also drive you crazy. Like, if we were to get truly technical, like on some down to the historical facts of everything, it would really, knowledge is powerful, man. It's dangerous too, because it could cause you to lose your damn mind, I think. Mike, will we start to see people getting laid off before the crisis? Joseph Moore, in my opinion, along with there's a lot of layoffs going on right now, because retail stores, like there's a mall on the east side of Detroit that's closing. There's a mall on the west side of Detroit that got torn down. There's a mall on the south side that's closed. So those are all jobs. So we're seeing layoffs, but the layoffs that we're seeing or going to see are going to be the unskilled labor, the cashiers, clerks, people who are basically considered expendable to their corporations because they are the lower, they're the lower part of the workforce. So those are the ones we're seeing right now. So those aren't going anywhere. Those people are going to be the first round. And then we're going to have the people who will be replaced by the artificial intelligence and all that stuff like that down the line. So, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, man.
Hey there. How you doing? What's your name?
My name's Adrian.
Adrian, where you calling from, buddy?
I'm calling from Portland, Oregon, man.
Portland, Oregon. What's going on out there?
Not a lot, but there is like a huge problem with the homeless population here.
Okay, so you sound familiar, my friend. Have we spoken before?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, so what's up with the homeless problem in Oregon?
Well, see, the thing is that a lot of families are not being able to pay for a lot of the goods that they need to live.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Hello? Sounds like I might have lost him. I'm sorry about that, my friend. Yeah, homelessness is of course, it's an issue everywhere. That's just how it's going to be. It's not going to get any better. T. Hambone, I read you. I got you, my friend. I got you. I think I sniffed that one out to myself. And that's one of the things where it's unfortunate, because if it is legit, I don't want to, it's just not me. I feel, but yeah, I gotta be real. But anyway, as people, we well over an hour. We've been chit-chatting for probably too long, but it's been good. And so, we got hiring freezes. Yep, in the hospital sector, you can't fill jobs. So basically they'll close down positions for jobs, and then they'll throw it all into one, throw 2 or 3 jobs on one person. And so that right there is the equivalent of firing people, because you got a person that's going to be overworked, handling the job of 2 or 3 people. So, yeah, man. But what else? Anyway, so it's been great, man. It's been great going back and forth. I'm glad to get a chance. Got something flat on my face. It's great to have gotten a chance to hear about the American dream for a lot of people. I think we've probably had the most participation via phone-wise, as well as, you know, just people sharing their thoughts on where we're heading and things of that nature. So, as always, man, at the end of the day, we all know how this could end. It's going to end with the currency, you know, this little graph here. This is going to be everyone's problem. No matter how good your dream is currently, this right here will be impacted by this here. So I try to be mindful of not solely basing my mood, happiness, fulfillment, and all that stuff that every man needs to this thing here. And so I try to like use creativity and things of that nature that can be useful to other people. And so that plays into my dream. So I really get a chance to get into my dream much, but I'm gonna leave it at that. So we might have to do this another day. But other than that, people, as always, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, man. If you've been watching for a while and you have not hit the thumbs up button, you ain't doing your boy no good. I need you to give me a thumbs up just so people can find out, because I think that plays into more people coming into the community, because more people get to see the video. And then also, if you find it informative on this American dream, share the chart, share the graph, share something to help people find out what's going on. And if you want, you can support me over here on Patreon. I would love some support. Got a lot of things I want to do, but of course, as you see, it takes paper to make things happen. And then also Bitcoin, you know, I do dip and dabble, so appreciate your blessings there. So other than that, everybody, enjoy yourself, be safe, and I'll see you guys again at another date. Be safe, have a great weekend. And if you don't talk before then.